It was April 22nd, 2022, and my husband was taking me to the place, and I knew I didn't like it. I'd been to this place before. He was constantly looking over at me. Karen, stay with me, Karen. He was driving really fast, blasting through those yellow lights, and he ran through a red. He parked out front and rushed me inside. I was barely coherent, but I could see a lot of people. Someone was asking me, what was it? How many? They took me to the room. I was hooked up to a ton of wires. I was wearing the ugly gown, Craig by my side. The room was small with a floor-to-window ceiling, and there was a police officer outside looking in at me. I felt like such a criminal. Every time this happened, it would start with anxiety, and then insomnia, and then my brain just didn't function properly. My thoughts sabotaged me. Why can't I handle this? Everyone else can do it. Why am I so defective? As a health and wellness coach, I thought I was doing everything right. And every time it happened, I learned something and brought it into my lifestyle and shared it in my coaching practice. I didn't think it would happen again. I truly didn't. But it did, and it defeated me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And I had COVID now. I was locked in my room with my defective brain locked in my head. I begged for Craig to help get me out. He was homesick with COVID himself. He brought me home, and I was down to 100 pounds, my all-time low. The self-loathing continued, but Craig kept on loving me, even when, and especially when, I didn't love myself. I was at home taking an online program through the hospital for 2 hours a day, but what was I going to do with myself the rest of the time? I had put my coaching practice on pause, but I couldn't relax. I looked around the house. I've got to clean this. I've got to organize that. I just was not thinking properly. I was overwhelmed. I had tried to do everything that I could. I tried to do things that I thought would help me. I met a friend for coffee, and then another, but it wasn't helping. Months went by, and I was not myself. But maybe myself, as I remembered, was not my best self at all. Eventually, I went back to my health coaching practice, hoping that maybe if I was helping other people, that I could get out of my own head. But 3 months in, and I was struggling. I was anxious and miserable, and I contemplated quitting altogether. But how could I stop entirely what I thought was my life's purpose, my identity? I truly was a failure. I found solace and some help with 2 women in my community after trying so many things, everything. They helped me look at my childhood conditioning, my life patterns, my rules for living. And they helped me soften those rules. You see, my rules made me strive to constantly be successful at any and all cost. I just kept going, grinding it out. It's like I was driving, but I wasn't paying attention to the traffic lights, the yellows that said, slow the hell down, or the reds that said, stop or risk death. I needed to follow those traffic lights and pay better attention. I needed to slow down or stop when life told me to. I needed to reassess my values of authenticity and passion, optimism and gratitude, and always, always loving deeply. As someone who has experienced mental health, debilitating anxiety, and suicidal depression, I can tell you that there is hope. The key to personal transformation is always, always listening to yourself, working on your body, but also working on your brain. And always, always watching the traffic lights.